Good afternoon. My name is Jason Dunn, CEO of the National Coalition of Black Media Professionals, and welcome to our fourth edition of the Black Table, which is gray. Just saying, but it's all right. We could. Hey,
We're going to get you a black table next time. Or a black skirt or something to put on there.
Listen, they don't have the black skirts to fit the table, so we got the black table.
We're going to get you one
great.
that's branded and maybe visit Richmond will sponsor. So
I
you be in
mean,
all the shows.
This is recorded. So
I know.
she said it, so
I
it's
did
good.
say it.
You said it out loud. You said it out loud.
It was an inside thought.
It was. This is gonna be fun. How are you? This is gonna be fun.
How are you?
So, please welcome Jerrine Lee from Visit Richmond. She is the Vice President of Sales. Vice President of Sales,
Yes.
right? Not services. Vice President of Sales and Services.
Just sales.
So you don't have
I cover sports and convention sales.
There you go. All right, make sure you're good.
Yes.
So let's talk about. Where did you start?
I started in services.
Oh, okay. See, I read
Yes.
your bio. That's where that came from. But
You
go
read
ahead.
my bio.
I read your bio, so I got to ask questions out
loud. You asked me for my bio.
I sure
would
did.
hope you would read it.
So you started in services.
Yes.
And that was your first entry into hospitality, or was there other points of entry from there?
So I worked at the convention center.
Oh.
As a sales coordinator for a couple years while I was in grad school at VCU, getting my master's in sport leadership. And after I graduated, I wanted a job in professional sports, right? I have a master's in a sports degree, let's work for sports. But it was very hard to find a job because I didn't have a network. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And I didn't do the right things when I was an undergrad to build that network. So it was very hard for me to find a job. But the Lord blessed me to be able to land a job with our minor league baseball team in Richmond, the Richmond Flying Squirrels.
Is that where you're from? Are you from Richmond?
I'm from Cumberland County, so it's right outside. It's a small country town right outside of
tell me that.
Richmond.
Like one stop sign?
No, we don't have any stop lights. We have multiple stop signs. Come on, what do you think? What do you think this is?
I thought she said she had any stop signs. I didn't know.
No stop lights.
No stop lights, but stop signs. Okay. Yeah, caution like crossing.
No.
You have trees, though. You have trees, right?
We have trees and farms and cows and horses. All right. Gardens.
You have cars?
We have cars.
Okay.
Bikes.
So
but anyhow, worked for minor league baseball for 6 years.
Okay.
And then I saw a job open with the CVB. And I knew of the CVB because of my time at the convention center and also working with the Flying Squirrels. We partner with the CVB a lot on different initiatives. And so saw a job with services, applied, got my foot in the door, and I've been there since then.
So did you know anything about the services role? I mean, what prepared you for? You just jumped.
So no, it was middle of the season, and I had already decided in my mind that was going to be my last season. And someone at Richmond Region Tourism sent me the job description and said, "I think you should apply for this." And I read the job description. I was like, man, this sounds like the perfect job. Like, I get to help meetings and conventions and sports tournaments that come to Richmond plan their event, be a liaison to them, make sure all the dots are connected, but it's not my responsibility. Technically, like, it's still their event. I was like, sign me up. And you gonna pay me to do this?
Sign me up.
Sign me up. And it actually worked to my benefit because I had a lot of partners. I built a lot of relationships at minor league baseball with restaurants and hotels and attractions and food vendors and whatnot that served me well when I jumped into that role. So that when a meeting planner or a sports tournament organizer was like, hey, I need a tent rental. Oh, I already know a person. Or I need a caterer, or I need a place for an opening reception. I already know people because they were my clients. They were either season ticket holders or suite holders. And so it was very easy for me to transition into that role.
So with that, so what you didn't do in undergrad was connect, which you did it when you were in services, correct?
Yes.
And you were getting your master's degree, right?
Yes.
All right. So talk about that. I mean, what was the drive that kind of drove you to go back to school and also make sure you found a passion for your work, and how did that connect?
I felt a little lost, honestly, after undergrad. I was working at Boys and Girls Club doing nonprofit, and I'm like, nonprofit's not for me. Fundraising is not for me. I don't like begging people for money. But I like the event side. So I was like, well, maybe I need to go back to school, get my master's degree, and this time I'm going to be very intentional about my studies
Okay.
and my connections because I kind of breezed through
Mm.
undergrad. So the passion was, I know I want to work in sports.
Mhm.
I want to work for a major professional sports team.
Mhm.
That's where my mind was back then.
Mhm.
So let me go get my master's and set myself up,
Mm.
which I still didn't have the right connections.
But you were working on them because you went to services.
Yes.
You got yourself together, right? And you met folks
Yes.
you need to meet.
Yes.
And so how did you align those relationships to jump into the convention part? And so you went from services to sales. Let's talk about that process and what was the courage to do that.
So actually, I had some colleagues that really encouraged me to jump from services to sales, right? They're like, you came in from minor league baseball, you already had all these relationships, and then you've been servicing. And I was predominantly servicing sports events, more so conventions. And so they're like, well, you work with these people all the time, so you should just apply for sales. And I'm like, I'm happy in services. I did sales in minor league baseball, kind of don't want to do sales anymore. And then Jack Berry, my former CEO, he mentioned it to me. He said, are you going to go for this job opening that we have?
Did you play sport? Did you play sports?
I was a cheerleader.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a sport.
Yeah.
That's a
Yes.
sport.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, so he's like, are you going to apply? And I was like, well, if the CEO is asking, then
Yeah.
I probably should.
It's a hit.
Yeah.
Message.
So
Yeah.
my current boss, she wasn't my boss at the time, but I
Okay.
went to breakfast with her because I told her I was interested, and I just wanted to see what the interview process would look like. And I told her all the reasons why I thought I should be in sales and why I should take over the sports market. And she said, well, great breakfast. Thank you for the information. I'll let you know by the end of the day. Well, by lunchtime, I had a promotion.
Wow.
I didn't even have to interview for it.
Wow. Wow. And so do you value that moment where you made that decision to jump?
Yes.
Were you nervous or you didn't know?
It wasn't that I was nervous. I was comfortable. And this jumping into sales was going to push me out of my comfort zone. And I didn't know if I wanted it. Like, I was complacent. I was like, well, why? You're happy. Why push yourself into an uncomfortable space where you could not be happy? Like, you love your job and you love your team.
Right.
Why not just stay? But then I was like, well, what does this career mean to you? And where do you want to see yourself? And so I was like, well, the worst that could happen is that they could say, no, we don't think that you're a good fit for sales, or they could say yes. And you could love it.
So was that an evolving moment for you mentally to jump? Again, I'm more interested in how people go from one position to another and then it's a completely different responsibility, but to succeed. So what did you take away from the services position that you applied to sales that make you that much better? Then it matriculate to become the vice president. Are you the first black vice president?
Cleo was.
Cleo, that's right. That is right. Correct.
First female, but Cleo.
Well, there you go. We're gonna claim that title. So what was that? What was that kind of process mentally?
Well, I mean, services is very much a big part of sales, right?
Correct.
Like it's the backbone of sales. It helps with the renewal process and everything. So having an understanding of what clients are already looking for and ways to enhance events, it just helped me with the sales process even more because
Right.
I was approaching all of my conversations and my bids from a mindset of like, how can I service this event? How can I build this partnership? How can I go above and beyond the room block or the space rental or the field rental? And so it was easy. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was not a hard transition at all.
Yeah.
You have
So-
the relationships already.
So that confidence come through your professional journey or come from, you have two sisters, right? Or you have one sister? How many?
One sister.
One sister.
Yes.
So did that confidence come from being in a small family with your people around you and encouraging you, or just your just
I think it's just my
your journey?
personality
Yeah.
and just my journey.
That's
Like,
all right.
I've never met a stranger. Like I probably was one of those children where my mom was like, stranger danger. And I'm like, no, that's my friend.
That's Mr. Bird.
right. Because I love people.
Sure.
I love
sure.
people and I love energy and I love being helpful.
Yeah.
And that's the dope thing about working in this industry is that we get to help people plan and host exceptional experiences.
Yeah. And so that's interesting. So CVBs, in my mind, my old world, I believe tourism empowers communities, right? Do you share that same type of passion that it's just not hotels coming and filling hotels, et cetera, but it's really an economic empowerment piece for the destination. And how does that make you feel to know that you bring people to your city that provides jobs, recycles tax dollars, et cetera? What does that mean? Kind of talk through your mental state when you know a conference is coming and how it helps your
Yeah,
local
of
economy.
course. It's one of the few jobs where you can see the fruit of your labor in real time, right? And I remember when I first started with sales and my first sports event came to town, and it was a soccer event, and I'm out at the field and I'm riding around the parking lot and I'm seeing all the license plates from the different states.
Right. I love
And
it.
I'm like, okay, I did that,
I
right?
love it. Yeah,
Then you
I
go
love it.
get lunch and you walk in a restaurant and you see all the team jerseys.
I love it. Yeah.
And it's like, I'm part of making that happen. And it makes you feel special because I know I connected back to now the restaurant is able to employ workers. The hotel is able to employ workers. The sports facility, they're able to, have custodial staff and field staff. Like, we're helping keep their livelihood going. We're helping them make their mortgage and all of that. So it's more than just heads and beds to me.
Yeah.
And now having a new CEO of Richmond Region Tourism, she is really setting a vision for us of tourism as a force for good. And
go.
so now everything that we're doing and we're thinking about, we're connecting it back to how is it for the good of our community. If this meeting that we're bringing in or this sports tournament we're bringing in, is it something that the people in our community really want? Or is it something that's going to leave a legacy? Is it something that's going to introduce our youth to a new sport? So like if we're bringing in a Quidditch event or a spike ball, is that going to expose our youth in our community to a different sport that they didn't even know about?
Yeah.
And so everything that we do now, we're much more intentional about making sure that it's tourism as a force for good.
Yeah, that's all right. I think the other piece that was interesting to me was that you had so you come from services, you jump to sales, you become the first black vice president, right? Female vice president of sales. So
shout out Cleo.
Cleo's my man. What's next for you? What do you envision yourself being in the next 5-6 years?
I don't know. I think I'm on a track to CEO.
There you go.
Of a CVB.
You better claim it.
I don't know when. I don't know where.
That's all right.
But I think eventually that's where I see myself.
How does your team describe your leadership?
They would probably say I'm more of a coach than anything.
Oh, he left.
Okay. Yeah, Kevin was here. He left.
Where'd he go? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're more of a coach?
Yeah.
Like put me in coach or
Yeah.
coach or coach, you're not doing the right thing, so I'm going to coach you, or people go out there by
All
themselves?
the above. All the above in every aspect, right? It's like I love the opportunity to put my team in, to allow them to get exposure and try new things. Anytime that I can help them elevate to the next level, it's a win for me. It's probably one of the things I enjoy about my job the most. But then when it comes to constructive criticism or correctness or whatever, I take a coaching approach, right? Like, let's talk this through. What could have you done better? What could I have done better to help prepare you for this? And let's make a game plan moving forward so that we don't fall in the same habit.
So what would you coach yourself when you first started? What would you tell if you were yourself? Yourself worked for you. Your younger self worked for you. Then what would you tell your younger self?
It's funny. I was just having this conversation the other day.
With your younger self? You talking to yourself?
Yeah, I talk to myself all the time. All the smart people do, duh.
Yo.
No.
All right.
No, I was at a client.
That's funny.
I have some supporters.
I see.
I have some supporters.
I see.
No, I was at a client dinner last night, and we were talking about, like, what would you tell your younger self, right? And I was like, I would tell my younger self to be a little bit more patient, and to go after what you want, and don't be afraid to fail. Because if you fail, you're not starting over from the beginning. You're starting over from experience. And I think a lot of times I was just afraid to put myself out there because I was afraid to fail. And I was afraid of what it would mean. And is the failure going to be so damaging that you can't come back from it? So I would tell my younger self, like, hey, I would coach myself to one game at a time, one play at a time. You know?
I love it. 3 words that best describe your personality and your leadership style.
Like 3 separate words?
3 separate words, yes.
This is hard. I don't like talking about myself.
I know. That's why I asked you.
I know. Resilient.
Don't use strength. You can't cheat.
Strength. No. I would say I'm resilient. I would say that I am loyal. And I would say that I'm energetic.
Oh, see? Was that hard?
Yes, very hard.
That wasn't hard.
Very hard.
So talk about your coalition and what your engagement is and what can we do to assist you, or what have we done to help position you for success?
So it wasn't until I took over as VP of Sales about 2 years ago that I really got an opportunity to work with NCBMP. And it has just been awesome to be in this space. I have connected to so many of my peers that look like me, that understand the same thing that I'm going through. And it's just been therapeutic. It's been inspirational. We keep in touch. We connect. We bounce ideas off of each other. Coalition has provided me with a safe space. And so anything that I could do to make sure that the brand is getting out and reaching other people in other markets and bringing more people in to give them that same feeling that I'm getting, I'm all for it. One of my favorite events is State of Black Tourism. It has been one of my favorites since I became a member, because I love being in DC around that time, and I love talking about the Black tourism experience or learning different statistics, and being able to take that back to my community. We've got an initiative through Richmond Region Tourism called Black RVA. And so being
Which is dope, by the way.
Thank you. So
Yes,
being
indeed.
able to bring
Yeah,
the
big anniversary
information.
recently. Go ahead and talk about
5 years.
That's
Give
big.
it up for Black
That's
RVA.
Big. That's big.
5
That's
years.
big.
Yes.
That's big.
Yes. So
yes.
being able to bring back the statistics and the things that we learned during State of Black Tourism to my colleague who runs Black RVA is just continue to move everything forward. So we appreciate you for doing that event. Please don't stop.
Sure enough. Let's give it up for Jerrine Lee. Let's give it up for her.
Thank you.
So again, ncbmp.com if you're not a member, or more information about the organization, ncbmp.com, ncbmp.com. We have joint memberships with PCMA and MPI, and we are confirming one with ASAE. So you get one hit for 2 organizations, or one hit for 3 or 4. However you want to do it, we got you. We got more. You understand? So come to the conference in Birmingham, Alabama, November 13th to the 16th at the Sheraton Marriott Hotel. Birmingham, Alabama, November 13th to the 16th, Sheraton Hotel, Marriott. We'll have a grand time. ncbmp.com to register. ncbmp.com to register and to become a member. Thank you so much for coming, and let's celebrate and support Jerrine as she goes through her journey to be the next president of the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Thank you, Jason, for having me.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.